So I wanted to let this person know that I went live just to answer a question. And it's not letting me. So I'm going to have to get on the phone and do it from the phone. Come on, let me... Hey guys, we're going to be discussing rabbit genetics in just a second. I'm trying to let the person know who asked me this question that I did go ahead and went live for them. But I just want to make sure that they know that we're covering genetics. Ermine specifically. They wanted to know what made an Ermine and describe it to them like they were a 5-year-old because it was confusing. So that's what we're going to be discussing. I'm just trying to log back in so I can answer the message because it's not letting me do it from the desktop. And then we're going to be talking about that. But that's what today's focus is going to be. So we want to let people know that I'm up and we're going to be doing genetics for about 20-30 minutes. I felt it was going to be better just to do this because then I can save this little mini class.
Just finished the new cage setup for my rabbits. Take a look at all of this. So here's Aaron. Aaron is going to hang out up in here.
Stop it.
He's got his food, he's got his water, and he's looking good. And
Stop
right
it.
next door
Stop
is
it.
Mikasa, and I'll be breeding the two of them together in less than a week or so.
Wow, that's annoying. Come on. Come on. I will say this, TikTok has been like super buggy since it came back online. Come on. I just want to answer this person's question so we can get started on the Ermine thing. Come on. I'm gonna have to go get my other phone. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do. Dot 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 dot. Ermine. Dot 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 dot. We'll be starting in about 5 minutes. Wow, or maybe can I just not read the messages on anything but the cell network? Because this is ridiculous. Okay, you're not going to get any cellular signal because I took the SIM card out of this phone. And you don't need location information. Because this phone never leaves this desk. Ugh. I really don't want to have to get up and get the other phone, but I might have to. Alright, well, what I'm probably going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to discuss what makes the Ermine. And then once that's up and going, I'm just going to repost that segment. So we're going to probably try to do this for about a 10-minute segment. And then go from there. Oh, wait. Okay, good. I got her. It took it like 10 minutes to load her message. It's like... I was on like less than 15 minutes ago, so Lexi may be around. And that's fine. That's fine. Hopefully, they'll see this. And we's be good. Alright, I'm just going to finish tweaking this just so we can see what's going on. Alright, that's muted. Good. I don't like how this is set up. You need to not be here because it's in the way. And you're too big. Can I make this smaller? As small as I can make it. It's such a cute little theme, but not really. Okay. And yes, I would like to get... If I can hit 5,000 followers, that would be kind of cool. It really would be. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But yeah, that's... good enough. Oh, there you is! Yes, perfect timing. Okay, so we can discuss Ermine now. I'm going to explain exactly what it is, and then we're going to break it down gene by gene, because I think that's going to be the best way to make the most senses. And I'm going to see if I can find a couple pictures of one of my Ermine rabbits. And then we can look at him. So, good timings, good timings, good timings. Let's see if I can find a picture of one of my Ermines. I'm live. What do you need?
Oh, I was just wanting to bother you.
Okay, you can bother me.
See, you're up doing, you get popcorn. See, I did dishes.
Thank you. I might make some more popcorn before I go to bed and just relax for a minute, but...
I was thinking if I should take up fishing.
I talked to some of the guys at work today, and they said they're always looking for more people to play D&D with them. They play 3.5.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
3.5 is the one that I play because they're basically like Wizards of the Coast. We're not playing 5 because we don't want to have to pay them money because they're being stupid.
Yeah, I thought that was stupid.
Yeah, so they're like, screw that. I'm like, I'm fine with that. I learned how to play on 3.5. Okay. I'm more than happy with playing that system.
If we ever have any free time.
Well, we're going to have lots of free time. We're jobless and homeless. This is, if you like what you're learning, there's both a GoFundMe and a Venmo available. I accept tips. Just saying. But anyway, we're going to get to this. So, Ermine. Ermine. So, Ermine is going to be basically like a gray-eyed white or a brown-eyed white. And what makes the Ermine is a combination of, if I can get this to behave itself, a combination of a Goody gene, come here, oh no, I should probably just close down that virtual machine, well, okay, I'm probably using too many resources back here. Alright. There we go. So, what we're doing here is a combination of a Goody gene, so that's the big A Goody, which is your barter banded gene. It can be either black-based, or they can be chocolate-based. I'm going to actually go ahead and we're going to look at the various combinations that are going to make up Ermine as a possibility. Just to do the initial breakdown. So it can be either black-based or it can be brown-based. Chocolate. All Ermine is going to be Chinchilla. So all the different variations of Ermine are going to be Chinchilla gene at C. On D, you can have either full dilution, or you can have a blue base, excuse me, or you can have a blue base or a lilac base. At E, it's always going to be non-extension. And that's going to be, so that's going to be your Ermine base. This is what it's going to look like. We're just going to go ahead and fill in these here. So okay. So that's going to be your base for Ermine. And that is represented here. So, just so you can kind of, you know, just decide what that base is. Now, where Ermine is going to be showing up, and again, like I said, this is just, you know, we're going to go ahead and push these examples here. And I was looking at some of my kits today, and it looks like I have like a lot. I think it might actually be like a broken lilac Ermine out of one of Simon's litters. I'm pretty sure it's one of Simon's litters. And where the Ermine color shows up typically is it's going to be at the edges of the color, because it's not a white rabbit like a masked white rabbit. It is a effectively diluted rabbit is really what's more happening. And when we say dilute, I'm not using dilute as in the dilute gene per se. We're using dilute as in it is effectively like a washed out color. So this one that's blue, that's chocolate, and that's lilac. So this is what those base colors are going to end up looking like. And where the Ermine may have some eumelanin bleeding through is going to typically be on the face, on the ears, occasionally the tips of the frosting along the back. And that is where you're going to kind of see it a little more. So like in these locations. And I'm going to go ahead and just... I would like to make you bigger. Will you please stop fighting me? There we go. So where you're going to kind of see it is you're going to sort of see it kind of at those tips. So this is a little bit better representation of like that like frosting that you'll end up kind of seeing. I'm sorry you have the flu. But anyway, just to kind of so this is where you'll kind of see that ermine coloration. And if you look at the videos that I posted of Simon has a lot of color. He's a very high rufous, so he's got a higher saturation in the dark parts of where his coat still kind of bleeds through. And so he's got a lot, like, just along the tips of the hair, the frosted tips on his nose, in his ears, and across his back, and on his butt. So, depending on how deeply saturated the ermine is, and that's that intensity gene that we talk about a lot, depending on how high the saturation of the coat is, will depend whether or not you may see some tipping and some bleed through. So ermines can be anything from what looks like a very white, or maybe just a hint of a little bit of yellow tipping, or a black or a brown tipping on the fur, if any of that, to look almost pure white, all the way down to a much denser color on their coat. Frosty tends to have a little bit more color. He's got more tipping, and you also do see that a lot more on the adult coat. But what the ermine is it's going to be your agouti gene, which is what the big A is, and that's that banded gene. That's the same gene that makes your chinchillas, your chestnuts, your opals. Depending if you're in different breeds, they also call them sandies or your casters. That's your agouti gene. So big A is the agouti gene, and what the agouti gene does, and we're going to go ahead and pull out real quick so I can show this, because this is an example of like chestnut, and we're going to flip that 90 degrees. So what the agouti gene, and that's what these are all agouti genes. So that's chestnut, chocolate agouti, a blue, like an opal, and a lynx, which is a lilac base, and these are the chinchilla versions of that also. So this has the red in it, and this has the pheomelanin in it, and this does not. So this is the chinchilla strips out that red color that we talked about the other day. And so with the with like this, your A, that's your agouti gene. An agouti is a banded hair, so each individual hair shaft is going to have breaks in the color along the hair shaft, and typically it goes to like a creamy color on the bottom, and then it fades into different colors, and then it has a black tip on your basic agouti. If everything is going to be set up in your regular color scheme, that's A, B, C, D, E. That is what that color scheme is. So in your full dominant agouti color scheme, A, B, C, D, E. And that's again your typical your chestnut color. For the ermine, it's going to be chinchilla, and that goes back to, like we said, with chinchilla. So agouti, but then if you're going to add that second gene in that makes the ermine, and you see this, that is what we talked about earlier, where it strips out that red pigment. So you have your eumelanins, but it has now stripped out the red yellow pigment. And if you strip out the red yellow pigment, then those pigments, instead of having that warm kind of brown color, will go into this like gray, this more muted gray color, or the silvery color that you'll see in the chinchilla coat. Now it's still a banded distribution of colors along each individual hair shaft, but now you're only seeing you're removing the pheomelanin. So that's going to look like this: A, B, C, H, D, D, E. And so that gene is going, that combination of genes is going to make your chinchillas. So this combination up here is going to be, this is a black ermine, and we're going to get back to that in a second. This is going to be your standard chestnut, your agouti, your standard agouti. Just, that's the only thing we're playing with is that first gene. I'm going to move that one down. Okay, then this one, that's your straight chestnut, ABCD. This is what going to be your chinchilla. Again, this particular genome is your black chinchilla, and that's stripping out the pheomelanin. So this one is that, and then we're going to get back down to the final one, which is going to be your black ermine. And an example for the black ermine again. Now, what that's doing is you're stripping out, like we saw. This was your regular full color, and that had all your different colors in it. So chestnut, full color on the agouti. Chinchilla, that's now stripped out the red-yellow pigment. And then this one, because you're putting non-extension. So we know that chinchilla strips out your red pigment. And I guess we should explain the non-extension real quick here. So non-extension, if you have an agouti rabbit, this is what New Zealand's reds are. In this case, it's going to be black based, full color at C, full color at D, but non-extension, that's going to be your red, your red or your orange rabbits. Orange. More accurate, red orange. So what that's going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make one more of these so we can see. So again, chestnut, chinchilla, non-extension. And so what's this going to do? Well, let's get a look here. This is going to do that. Now there is a little tiny bit of fading at the base of the coat if you want to be technical. If you want to get super, super technical about what that's going to end up looking like. Yes, technically, this is going to, there can be some smut, which is the very, very tip, is going to be a, come here. You stop. So you can get a little bit of smut at the tip, and that just means that it's going to have a little bit of a dark tipped color. It can happen. Ideally, you want a full wideband, and you don't want to get that. But it should, in a good red, have very little, if any, tipping at all on a good red. And so you'll see something more along like these lines, where yes, at the very base of the coat, it's going to bleed out a little bit, and so that's what you're going to be looking like. So that's going to be your red orange. So that's why that's depending on the breed. Some people refer to this as wideband. It is technically a type of wideband, but it is not the wideband gene. The wideband gene is actually a separate gene. So if you want to get through, you have this is non-extension EE. Non-extension strips the eumelanin from the coat. Chinchilla strips the pheomelanin. So chinchilla strips the red. That strips the red and yellow pigments. Ermine. All right. So that strips that. Red orange. This is non-extension. So the non-extension gene, that strips the black and chocolate pigment. So that'll strip the black and chocolate pigment. And so because you only have 3 possible pigment colors, you have black and brown for the eumelanin, and you have red yellow for the pheomelanin. And particularly you just call it red. So you only have those pigments available to you. That's it. So what happens when you get ermine? Because we know that non-extension is stripping your black chocolate. So this is stripping the black color. And then on your chinchilla, that's stripping your red out. So when you end up with the ermine is stripping all the colors. So now you have maybe a very small amount, maybe just the very, very, very tip, showing what the rabbit's true color is bleeding through. And it's stripped because it's now stripped out all your red, and it's stripped out all your black. So that's all that's left on the ermine. What changes on this, on the ermines, is the eye color does not change though. So if your rabbit, did I put eye color on this chart? No, I will grab the eye color chart. So if your rabbit is so it's not going to affect your eye color. There are genes that affect eye color. The Himalayan gene, the red-eyed white gene, those are both strip out majority of the eye color and make them look very pink or an extremely pale blue. Vienna gives you like bright blue eyes. Chinchilla will give you a marbled gray eye. If you have a dilute blue or a dilute, which is a lilac, you may get on the lilacs a dove gray, light chocolate eye. On the blues, you may get a solid gray eye, like a very pretty solid gray eye. On the lutinos, you will get a purple cast eye. It's a very interesting looking eyeball because that does affect both coat and eye color. So, but on the ermine is stripping will leave the eye colors alone, but it'll strip out your fur color. It'll strip out the red and it'll strip out the black from the fur color. So that is where you get the ermine from. So did that. It is a super light chin, but not really a super light chin. There actually is a light chin. There's actually in Chinchilla, there is Chinchilla dark, Chinchilla medium, and Chinchilla light. Ermine is even more stripped out than Chinchilla light because Chinchilla light is a shaded color, so it's much denser in comparison, and that's going to give you your slanders and your let's see if I listed all those because I'm not me. Let's see, that's chocolate. So the slander is not the same as ermine. I gotta remember what the actual breakdown for that one is because there's like 4 colors that all look very similar. I'm going to have to look that back up to make sure I'm getting that correct because I don't like shaded colors. They drive me absolutely up the wall. Although it might have been that it was self. One of them, it might have been Salander was the self version of ermine. It just presents a little bit differently. It presents darker than how some of the torts behave. So on a true tort, I think that's what it was. It was the so the slanders behave more like the torts. So on a tort is a self-based rabbit. And on a self-based rabbit, they actually have a lot more color versus the red, the way that the shading works. But right now the ermine is a Goody based, so that's why we're just dealing with that. It's got a dark nose. Harlequin magpie is not they're kind of mutually exclusive. You just get a tort. So on an ermine based harlequin, they just have little torty noses. That's it, because it's not an ermine, because EJ is a dominant over the non-extension, so you can't. So it's on the same gene. So you'll have what'll effectively be a tort, like it'll look like a torted ermine. It'll have a black dot in the nose. Give me a second. I'll show you what a torted ermine, because I actually have a whole bunch of torted, not torted, torted magpie. Effectively, it's a torted magpie. It's an ermine magpie. Which is why you ideally want to have 2 EJs in a rabbit. You don't want to have a single. I mean, you can still use them for breeding stock, but they're not showable because of the markings. Okay, you are not torted. No. I'm trying to find an example of one that was torted. I don't think any of Sadie's were. No, it would have to be from a different letter, because I don't think it was for any of these. But they have a little shaded nose. That's how you tell, is because they'll have a darker nose. They'll have tips the same as the Ermines. So it'll bleed through. And that's how you know they're torted. It's the same thing like on the torted Japs. If they have the dark nose and they'll have shading on the ears, then they have a non-extension gene because it's co-dominant and it bleeds through. Well, here's an example of a torted Japanese, and it's going to effectively be the same thing, except it's on a magpie background instead of on a Japanese background. So this one here, yeah, Red Fawn's EE. So this one here, this one's torted. He was a very lightly marked Harlequin, but if you look at his nose, the nose, it looks like he dipped his nose in some soot. This one over here is also torted, and you also see just the way that it's shaded on the bottom and the shading on the ears. This one also has lightly shaded ears, but mainly that dead giveaway is that nose. That's what your dead giveaway is going to be for these, is that nose. And that is how you know. See if we can. You see that little nose there? That's your dead giveaway. That non-extension's in play. It's that little mark right there. So he's Harlequin with a co-dominant non-extension, or he was. I'm pretty sure he's been eaten. Same thing like with this one. There's a little shaded tip on the nose. So they all had one non-extension gene. So they had one harlequin gene and one non-extension gene. And they would have had to have it anyway, because they were they were bred. Their dad was a red, but that's only going to show up in that case typically if they're also self-based rabbits. So they have to be self-based, which is what makes them torted. So you have to have a combination of being self-based and have non-extension. So it's going to be this combination. If you do not have a self-based rabbit, it shouldn't show up. If it's not self-based, it's not going to show up. So technically, it's really only going to show up on a Salander base. But a Salander base, so like a tort, a torted rabbit is like cinnamon. So this is gonna be magpie. So that's gonna present as magpie. This one is gonna that's gonna present with shading. And that's gonna present as tort. Just straight up tort. It's a completely different color setup. Himalayan is C. Has nothing to do with these torts and non-extension affect A and E. Himalayan affects C. So on your Himalayans, it's going to be, doesn't matter what it is, CH. It's just going to be CH. So it doesn't matter what's on any of the other ones, that's what's determining it. And the other thing with Himalayan is Himalayan also controls your eye color. So your eyes are going to be red. So we call that pointed white. It's technically a pointed red eye white. So slander shading, you may get a little. You're going to get a little more of the shaded on there in spots. On the tort, again, you're going to get more shading, kind of mixed in there, and it's not individual hair bands. It's like it's over like the whole rabbit. What does mom look like? if she looks like if she has brown eyes and she's got points like that, she's either an Ermine or a Slander. So she's not Californian. If you got fawn babies in there, you got torted fawn babies, mom's carrying non-extension. And she might be shaded, to be honest, which is CHL, which is another gene. I really don't like playing with it because it just drives me up a wall and it just pisses me off. So I don't even like looking at it. But that's the sables. So a sable, this is American sable. They look kind of like this color. And sable is shit, is it self or is it a goodie? I don't remember. I gotta go look it up. But sable is going to be a black-based rabbit, CHL. It has to have 2 copies of CHL. Full density at the dilution. And full color, not non-extension. And they are a shade. I want to say they're self-colored rabbits. I'm pretty sure they're self-colored rabbits. And then they have the they have the Chinchilla light gene, which makes them shaded. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, CHL is sable, but you have to have 2 copies of it. Yeah, they're self-colored. They are self-colored homozygote. There's labor. So they have to have two bases of that. So they are self-colored rabbits with 2 copies of CHL. That is a sable. A really good sable is going to look almost black. A medium-colored sable is going to be actually more like this. This is technically, according to this reference, this is actually more like a medium sable. So it's more likely 1 copy of CHL, 1 copy of the regular albino gene. A full sable, a super dark version of the sable that looks almost black is gonna have 2 copies of this gene. But they are not a non-extension rabbit. They're just a shaded rabbit because sable makes them shaded. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to place... I'm just going to toss a Black New Zealand on this just so it's a placeholder. Where is my New Zealand folder? I'm actually going to toss Black New Zealand. I'm slightly going to tone it down just a little bit, just a little more brown than a full black. Because the double sable, they look almost black, but not quite black. Actually, I probably can't tone it down, but they're going to be closer to looking like that. They're very, very dark. A full on sable is going to be very, very dark. I'm writing a book. I am not thrilled. OSU is a good extension. You can just go check the wiki. I got a lot of the basics on the wiki, but I don't. I don't like the sable points because they drive me absolutely up the wall. What on earth are you guys referring to as a Siamese sable? And that's the other problem, is that there's no steady... Typically, when they're breeding them, you want to have a CHL and you want to have a C because you get that lighter color. So the American sables really need to have one each. So okay, so here's the thing. So sable, so this one's going to be sable. This one's going to be considered seal, effectively, because they're very, very dark. They're almost black. Yeah, that's the issue, is people, as they use different names for the same color. So the best you can do is try to figure out the genotype. Okay, and now we're going to get back to cinnamons versus... Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to place this guy here. I'm going to go and we're going to have an agouti. So, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a... Come here, little brat. Get over here. Alright, so, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do agouti. I'm not doing tan. We're not doing tan. We're going to do agouti and self. That's it. So we're going to focus on the A gene. So we're going to focus on agouti, which is the dominant A. And we're going to focus on the self gene. I'm not adding the third one in there. We're going to focus on self at A. So, that's going to be all the agouti ones. These are going to be all the self ones. And we're probably not going to go quite as deep into this. A, B, C, D, E. Black self. A, B, C, H, D, D, E. Slander? I need to double check on that. Slander might be self Chinchilla, or self Chinchilla might look like. I'm trying to remember. So I think self Chinchilla just looks black because it doesn't show up. But I want to double check, because I think they have to have non-extension for it to be slander. Come on, it's related to celogenic slander rabbits varieties. Yes, they have to be okay, so that is slander. But slander has to have non-extension. If they don't have the non-extension, it's just going to look like a black. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break this down with the code. So, starting with non-extension, or starting with regular extension. Right, with regular extension, we're gonna and I'm gonna have to go ahead and pull this out for non-extension. All right, so okay, this is gonna have to go in row 2. Bear with me as we fill this in. Okay, so this is A, B, C, D, non-extension. So red, A, B, C, D, non-extension. This is going to be a goodie, that's a goodie base. These over here are going to be the self-based ones. And I'm going to put this next to here. So what do we get? We're just going to fill this out. So if we're going to get A, B, C, D with non-extension, A, B, C, H, D with non-extension, A, B, C, H, L, C, 2 genes are at play there, D, non-extension, AA, B, CHL, CHL, D, non-extension. Okay. Okay. So, oh, I might just borrow this picture from here, because Slander. I don't know if I have an example. They're very pretty, but they're definitely a little bit different. So, let's see. AA, CHD, CHD. So 2 copies of Chinchilla, or at least a copy of Chinchilla, with non-extension. So this is a Salander rabbit. So if you have with non-extension, and again, this is similar to how the tort how tort is. And that's why it's very similar to. So again, we're going back to like self. I need to actually need to add that in there. CHL. I need to add full color. Give me just a second. We're not going to do this yet. Oh, I put it right there. Okay, Dirk. Non-extensions right there. Okay, let me just place that real quick so we can make a note. So tort. So self, tort. This is Chinchilla. You can see it's very similar again. It's the pattern's the same except the red stripped out of the coat. So that's on the Salander. So down here, Slander. Self Chinchilla, tortoise. Okay. 1 copy, Sable. And then we get to the shaded. And this is where I hate this gene. I hate it. I hate this gene so much. I think it's technically Smoke Pearl. But I need the genetics because this is where I guess it just gets so. I hate CA. This is why I don't like playing with CA cell, because it gives me a friggin' migraine. It's my least favorite color. Okay, how are you guys defining the sables? Okay, it's defining the sables as... Oh, this is so frustrating. So this is the problem. On Holland Lops, she's defining sables as having shaded plus non-extension on an agouti base. And I've been told the exact opposite, which is why it makes me so mad that we don't have a... Okay, seal is double CHL on self. Okay, that is seal. Okay, she says this is smoked pearl, is how they're defining this particular color here. They're defining it as CH... Oh, no, that is correct. No, this one is smoked pearl. So smoked pearl is being defined as, but it's also dilute. So is it, oh, fuck, I hate this so much. Siamese sable? Okay, maybe it's Siamese sable. Siamese sable. Okay, so Siamese sable is going to be non-extension, half of a, so, okay, so sable versus Siamese sable. I think it's because it's it's even lighter than this. Dark points and lighter size. I think it's even lighter size than the regular sables. So I think maybe that's what the definition is on this. That's what's differentiating it. Is that it's even lighter. Let me see if I can pull up my my 10 billion Netherland dwarf colors. Because I'm pretty sure there's a Siamese sable Netherland dwarfs. Siamese smoked pearl and Siamese sable. Okay, so in my reference here, when I made this last time, this was the color to define the Siamese sable color. And you see, it is a lighter color than the full sable color. Okay. Let's see if I have a better seal picture. See, like I said, seal's very, very close to black, but there's like more of a hint more brown. Does Netherland dwarfs have a seal? No. Okay. And then they're defining sable point. Actually, no, that's only one copy. What's the difference between these two? Okay, Siamese sable they're defining as okay, this is what they're defining as Siamese sable on this. As having one copy and being full extension, and they're defining sable point as having non-extension. This, and again, back to the reason why I hate this gene so freaking much. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Is because it's really, really freaking confusing. Okay, sable point. Not pointed white. God damn it. What of these has this as a regular color? So I don't have to go digging for it or making a new one. Because I've already made 1,000 of these pictures. This is why I don't like, I usually stick to my these here. Because those are the ones that we use the most. Because when you get into the shadeds, that's when your head explodes. Because you gotta try to figure all this shit out. And I hate this. I don't like it at all. It gives me a headache. That one here. Anyway, so the Siamese sable is going to be a lighter version of this one. I'm going to have to actually open this damn file up. I'm going to have to so I can pull it in. Otherwise, it's going to drive me up a wall. It's going to drive me up a wall. It's going to drive me up a wall. No. No. Stop it. A seal point is CHL. There's a sable point and a seal point. A seal point's darker. So the differentiating between the shaded colors is so obnoxiously minute, and that's where it gets really frustrating. Is because like a seal point. Yeah, a seal point has to have 2 copies of the Chinchilla light gene in order to be a seal, because they're darker. And that's why, give me a second, I'm trying to open this thing up so I can actually make the color. Because right now, I can't make the color because I don't have a reference to it. So I have to make the reference to it. So this is what's going to differentiate between them. So a Siamese sable is a lighter color than the regular sable because it's also non-extension. So this is actually slightly darker. So it's going to look more like the Slander looks, but this is a Chinchilla base and this is not. So this is going to have more red in it because this does not block out all the red. So that's where it's going to be different. Because there's going to be more red. There's going to be more red in a shaded rabbit than there is in a Chinchilla-based rabbit. No, a seal point has to have 2 copies of CHL. So on an actual seal point, it is going to... This is going to be nearly black. I'm going to go ahead and use the poor black. It's technically like a super dark. Anyway, so on this one, on the seal point, it's going to be a super like a dark brown. And you, because it's going to be almost, so it's going to fade out, but it's going to fade out a lot darker. So that's going to be on like a seal point, and the Siamese sable is going to be a lot lighter. Because anytime you double up on that CHL gene, it's going to make it a lot deeper because that gene stacks. So that's going to be seal point. It's going to be that dark. For the Siamese sable, that is going to be a bit lighter. So that is still going to have, quite a bit, but it's not going to be as dark. And although this one, actually, no, there's probably enough brown in that. It's going to be a little more. There's going to be more of a red allowance on this because it's not going to be quite. It's not going to strip quite as much of the red, but it is going to be lighter here. So that is going to be a little more. That's probably closer to that one, actually. I see it in black, so it may still be that dark, or maybe darker. Probably not quite that dark. It's going to be kind of between these two. I think mainly it's going to have a little bit more red in it in comparison, because it's not, because they're not going to strip quite all the red out. I just think the body color is going to be lighter than that, though. But it's going to be lighter than this, just because it's going to have that. Yeah, and that's the problem. I'm not going to answer any of these trip metal detector because I don't care about sables and I hate shaded, so I'm just covering the genomes. I don't know because I don't care, because I don't work with shaded. I hate this gene. I want nothing to do with this gene. I despise this gene. This is not one of my genes. There's people that can work with it. That's great. I'm happy. They're very pretty rabbits, but I hate this genotype because they look so similar. They're almost impossible to tell apart. So I don't like to play with it. But this is what non-extension does. This is the only example we're doing here. Is non-extension on a self rabbit is going to make that shaded patterning. So that's why these are non-extension. And that's why there's that sign of it having that faded. And on a seal, which is why I went ahead and I brought this over, seal looks almost black when you double that up on this coat. So there is still going to be shaded, but it's going to be, it's going to almost look, it's going to be really, really hard to differentiate on a seal coat. So on the seal coats, I'm gonna steal this color and then we're gonna fix it. So on the seal coats, no, come here. So I mean, it's like, the really good ones, they're like super, super, super dense. It's like, why are you so mad? Because they make me angry. But it's going to be like super, super dense. Like it's going to look, bad. It's going to look like almost black. Like the really, really good ones are going to look almost black. So it may be like just a little bit of the shading there, something like that, or it'll just kind of hide there, because it's just super dense. It's like just super, super dense. No, there is no seal in New Zealand. There is no shaded in New Zealand. And if someone tries to bring that into my breed, I may murder them. Get that CHL bullshit away from my pretty babies. I don't want them in the Sanitas. I don't want them in the Harlequins, and I don't want it in the New Zealands, because it doesn't belong there. If you want to play with it in some other breed, go right ahead. But keep it out of the breeds that don't need it, because the gene is horrible. I have the same feelings about the sable and the CHL genes personally that I feel about the Vienna and silvering genes. I love them for the people that are working with them, and they can go have their own breeds that do that. But no, because it's bad. It's one of those, like, no. It's really hard to breed out, and it does stupid things, and I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. It's not my thing. It's just, no. Make a separate breed. Don't bring it. Don't do it. Just don't. Anyway, and then but that's the one. That's what they do. They do this. That's what they do. So you do non-extension. So this is full color. This slander is the non-extension version of this, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the other ones. No, it's fine. It's like I said, people can do it. Maddie has her beautiful, her champagnes and stuff. They're beautiful rabbits. I'm not saying they're not very pretty rabbits. I'm just saying I don't want anything to do with it in my breeds. Okay, anyway. Ermine. Open. Ermine. I guess we could throw California in here. So I gotta get to bed soon. Who has Ermines? No one's got Ermines, apparently. Well, technically that's not true. The Czech Frosties and Ermine. Do I not have the Czech Frosty in this set? I don't have the Czech Frosty. Really? No, I have a Czech Frosty. There's one right here. Okay. So for Ermine reference, and you can barely see him because look at how cute he is. Czech Frosty is an example of the Ermine. And that is going to be full extension, B, CHD, full D, non-extension. I'm going to put a drop shadow behind her so you can actually see him. Otherwise, he's not going to be visible at all. Alright, so that, again, A, B, C, H, D, D. Self Chinchilla, Slander. This is again, that's with all the little non-extensions. So it's a Goody with non-extension. This is going to be, these are all the self-based ones. Just to kind of, to try to walk through that. Okay, other ones, let's see. I'm going to do straight up chestnut, if I can get you to post. Well, yeah, and that's why we're doing. But that's why the book that I'm writing has so many pictures in it. All right, so this one, that's your standard chestnut. So your standard chestnut, again, a Goody, black, full color. That's all your big dominants. So all your big dominants. Chestnut. And then we're going to go ahead and discuss Chinchilla, and that we're going to use the Merkin Chinchilla because it's Merkin. Merkin Chinchilla. And that one, A, B, C, H, D, D, E. So it's a Goody, black, Chinchilla, full, no non-extension. So you put the non-extent. You stop. So you put the non-extension on the agouti, you get the Czech Frosty. Yeah, this is just your wild color. This is your base color is that one. If you put self on whatever, it's just going to be a black, in this case it's going to be a black rabbit. You put tort, you put non-extension on self, you're going to get a tort. So this is your, your top line, your base agouti colors with, full C Loki. I always need more Snita people. Actually, that's one of the things I have to do this weekend is Teresa and I got to go through her litters and see who's good. We got to see if we have any ones that'll go to a Harlequin project, because I got someone who wants Harlequins really bad. And then we got to see if any of them are big enough and how their weights and their type is, and she might have some to sell. So if she does, then I'm going to need to figure out how she wants to do that, and if she can hold them for a little bit longer, and if I need to bring them back to my house and just have people pay her because she raised them. And then I'll just charge for transport. But I can't keep stuff at my house very long because we don't have any money to feed them, and so I got to be really careful about how long I'm holding anything. As is, I should have told Lee to take that entire litter of reds to auction tonight, to be honest. But they'll probably have to go to the kill buyer this weekend because I can't feed them if they're not worth selling and they're not worth keeping. Okay. And what was it decided if it was A? If it was shaded in A. See, I thought that was the slander. Was the salander. It's saying that's sable. See, this is where it's so friggin' confusing. Is that in the Hollands, she's saying that is what they call sable chinchilla. Which is why I really wish that that Arma would just be like, no, this genome equals this color, and we're gonna not call it 1,400 different things. Because it's really friggin' confusing. But apparently, no, that is the cylinder. Dark chinchilla. This is tort with. So cylinder is defined as a dark chinchilla on a tort. So that is correct. So dark chinchilla on a tort. Dark chinchilla on a goody. Dark chinchilla with non-extension. Dark chinchilla with self-torted dark chinchilla. So, how are we defining sable? Because this is giving me a headache. I mean, they really are very pretty rabbits. That cylinder color. It is very pretty. But how is it? But is it only? See, this is the question now. Is okay, but how are you expressing it with the A gene? Like, are you changing the name of the color, or is it just going to appear the same? Because that is where this is like really making. This is why I hate shaded genes. This is exactly why I friggin' hate the shaded genes, because we can't agree on this. Because I need to know what are you referring to it as on the A series. Is it Pearl? Is that what it needs to be? Or is that what we're going to call it Pearl? And if we're going to call it Pearl, can you please show me the genome that we're playing with? Because this is making my head hurt. And there's also CHM. We haven't even touched on CHM. CHM falls between these two. And apparently they've proven it's an actual gene. I want to know CHL and Agouti. What are you guys calling it? Like, what's the naming conventions? See, that's where it pisses me off. I want to know what the naming convention is, because there's Sable, Smoke, Seal Point, etc. What are we using for these naming conventions? I'm so angry right now. This is why I don't play with these. That's why I don't like playing with these genes, because they make me mad. I don't have time to be pissed, and they're making me pissy. Because everyone calls them something different, and I just want uniform names. Because if you can't be uniform about it, I want to pull my hair out. I'm also very tired, and I'm hungry, and I want to go to bed. That doesn't help me. It's not very helpful. A chocolate point. Okay, that's great. What is the genome? What is the genome? What are we using for... What are we... See, she's only using self. They're not even discussing like an agouti base. So that's where we go back to this. It's like, okay, but if it's on an agouti base, what is it? Like, can it happen on an agouti base? Okay. Mink Hollow is usually much better about this shit. So what does Mink Hollow say? Of course, she's got the Rexes, and Rexes drive me a little bit nuts too, but that's fine. It's a very pretty code color, but because the fur's so damn short, sometimes it's hard to decipher what I'm actually looking at. Yes, I understand. That is the shadeds. But what is shaded. I don't know what the combination does. I want to go to bed. We should probably go to bed. Anyway, the original question was, what was Ermine? And I told you, this is what the Ermine was. Ermine is where it strips all the colors on the agouti. So that's what was important. That's how we did this. Ermine strips all the color. I don't know. I hate it, though. I hate it. I'm going to be homeless in, like, another month anyway, so I can just drive them out there. As long as you're paying for my gas and give me somewhere I can go sleep under your porch or something. But that's how bad it is right now. Just so everyone understands, I got 6 whole hours of work this week and 6 whole hours of work next week. I'm still looking for a full-time job to try to transfer over to. They raised my rent. I'm not pulling anything in. I can't get an employment. I'm still sick as a dog and I can't get disability. So we're just going to try not to die. That is literally what's happening. I'm trying to sell rabbits and take care of my shit so I can keep affording to buy them food. That is what is going on right now. I am struggling horrifically, and I'm doing the best I can to not die. That is what I'm currently working on. So if you guys, if any of this information is useful or you find it entertaining, Venmo is MMC Rabbits, or PayPal is PayPal me Paint27, I believe, or whatever. There's a link to stuff. At this point, I'm not going to turn it down. I mean, I'd rather people just buy things and order things. I don't think the book's quite ready for me to start selling yet, but I don't want to do pre-orders. I'd rather make sure that I'm ready. I'm like almost ready to complete it before I set it up for actual sale. But no, it's bad right now. It's going to be another couple months before the country stabilizes enough and people start hiring again. And that's assuming they'll hire me because I'm old. So I don't consider myself old. I consider myself freaking experienced. And this one says it changes if there's Himalayan instead, too. God, this is so frustrating. I'm really to that point where I'm like, I would really rather just get a whole bunch of samples and bring them to an actual geneticist with a CRISPR and figuring this shit out on my own, because this is literally just driving me up a wall. Like, completely up a wall. Oh no, it's rough. The whole point's the heavy call. Hey Fletcher, yeah, the whole point's heavy call. If you don't heavy call, I really don't want you in the project. I want people that are only going to keep the absolute best one. And we're going down to check on Teresa's tomorrow, and then we're going to go through and figure out if there's any good. I've had a lot I have not been really happy with, but then again I'm really super picky on the lines. Okay, all right. I think we're good on this for right now. I need to try to get myself to bed, but hopefully that at least explains Ermine, because the whole point of this was to try to explain Ermine. Ermine, a agouti-based rabbit, strips most of the color out because you're stripping it from Chinchilla is stripping the red, and non-extension is stripping the black-brown, and then you're just gonna get maybe a little bit of bleed through where you'd have smut on the rabbit. Tamuks are just meat mutts. I don't even get me started with that bullshit. Yeah. I have a CRISPR person. I have someone with a CRISPR. I actually have a friend who works in genetics, and sometimes he does gene splicing on the weekends just for fun. He genetically modified a flower for his wife for Valentine's Day that glows in the dark. Added some jellyfish DNA to it. Really cool little project. So no, I have a person that can do it. It's just finding the time and writing up a proposal so that he can justify running it on the machine. But I needs to get to bed. So, hopefully this made sense. In all seriousness, if you guys want to throw something towards me, that's the thing. You can cross any New Zealand color too, Sunita. Reds are the best though. Reds and brokens are the best. But it doesn't really matter. You can cross any to Sunita. You just gotta understand what you're doing, and then either breed them out second generation or cull hard. Yeah, we all are. Hey, whatever we can do. Like I said, we're rent's due today, and we're not doing it. So I'm gonna hope that we can weasel enough of it to pay it by Monday. But there's really not much else I can do. Pretty sure. I'd have to go look it up. It's MMC rabbits. It may have still been on my main page. Yeah, the Venmo link is listed on my in my profile. So and that's I'm not gonna ask for anything. Just if you want a tip, that's cool. If you find this entertaining, or if it was useful information. If you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to kind of run you through it. You will probably get an earful if I get angry at stuff. Watching me do Photoshop and Illustrator is fucking hilarious, though. If you don't mind lots of cursing, because the amount of times I cuss out Adobe. And it's a lovely relationship. Believe me, it's lovely. It's one of those relationships you have when you deeply and affectionately adore something, and it does something completely stupid when you're just trying to get shit done. So I do love it. I love it dearly. But sometimes the coding just makes me want to pull out my hair. It's the same thing with pretty much anything you do. Linux is like that too. And that's the other thing. I mean, I'll do whatever topic you want to do. I'm currently working on updating my REL cert, or at least updating enough to show that yes, I'm doing continuing education and I'm not like completely like non-functional with this. So I'm currently working on doing some REL reviews. Oh yeah, no, that's cool. Yes, no, Harlequins need to be crossed in. I have an entire how-to. If you end up doing Sanitas, the SOP goes to people that get the Sanitas. I need to double check, make sure Maddie knows that too. As if they're doing, you join the Sanita group on Facebook. If there's questions, ask questions. Remember you're going for type and traits. Ideally, yeah, cross the stuff in. You want big rabbits crossed in though, so make sure they're big and typey. Those are two of the things that you need to really look out for is the quality of the type. So, and I know it's a lot of a learning project and a lot of people bringing stuff in, but New Zealand's are pretty safe to cross into it. Rex, I think I'm going to go ahead and open it up for large Rex, for certain lines of large Rex. Tricolors, chinchillas, large American chinchillas, meaty rabbits are perfectly fine to cross in, because the chinchilla, you're gonna have, and again, you're probably have to do F2 crosses to cross back and forth, but anything like that is fine as long as you understand what you're doing, and that's why I said just talk to me and I'll walk you through the philosophy behind it and what works and what doesn't. They came from a big old broken black buck. Like I said, it's almost pretty much any New Zealand. You can cross anything you want into. The only things I request that you keep out of it is VM carriers, shaded carriers. So anything that might have CHL, for the love of God, don't. So if you go back in their pedigrees and they have blue eyes or funky patterning or silvering. So no silver carriers, no Vienna carriers, no shaded carriers. Those are the three big ones to try to keep out of it. Just because it's going to create problems down the line. Dutch marking, try to avoid that. I'm a little worried right now because it looks like the purebred Harlequins all carry Dutch dark. And so I am kind of half debating if I'm going to need to cull an entire line or not. Yes, all the genes I hate, we're not doing it. No, we're not doing the obnoxious genes. Now, I do understand that Maddie has crossed some silver foxes into them just for shit.